according to Muslims, not according to me. Here we see a female Muslimah. She is saying, and by the way, this is a clear proof that she is a very religious person, and I will tell you why. If you look at her eyebrows, you can tell she never took one hair from her eyebrows. Actually, she took. But I mean, they keep them white to make themselves look like still believers, because you know, if a Muslim woman, she takes some hair from her eyebrows, she go to hell. But she can shave her private part. Very weird religion. You can take hair from down, you cannot take hair from up. Anyway, so here she is saying hijab is our right. And I ask myself, I mean, it's a right if you ask for it, but you did not choose it, they force it on you. So what right you are talking about? What about beating you? You know, the Quran says, chapter 4, verse number 34, that if the woman, she is rebellion, or he feared to be rebellion, he can beat the hell of you. Now I know you will say he beat me lightly. First of all, it's a punishment, and lightly beating, that will be ticklish. So your lie doesn't make sense. But now our topic is not about women wearing hijab. Our talk about Allah wearing hijab. Let us go to the Quran, because the Quran will speak of everything we need. I will not really take me long to find a verse. I will just type in Arabic hijab. You know, like in Arabic, in case you do not know, you know, it's different from English, you know. So in English, like I'm typing in English now. Let's just switch. So like in English, when you type, you know, you start from the left of the page to the, you know, right. In Arabic is the opposite. And the same for when you open a book. You know, many people, they like, you know, they get confused, so they open the book from the end thinking it's the same as English, but in Arabic is different. So the left is the beginning of the book, and here, by the way, this is a problem, because remember, in Islam, left is evil. So why the Quran is opening from the left? The Quran is opening from the right, because supposedly Islam is not evil, or because the Arab, they are doing the language since before Islam. So here the Muslims, they try to always to make things up. Like I heard somebody saying, oh, the Quran opened from the right, and the Quran must be right because it's open from the right. But there's books, all of them, they open from the right, including the Christian Bible in Arabic. So, you know, it's a very funny statement. However, we go to hijab and we search for it. Hijab means veil. And then we will find that the word hijab is mentioned in the Quran many times. All right? I will not look for those, you know. All those words have hijab. I will go to the one about Allah. In chapter 42, verse number 51, it says, let us zoom here, it says, it's not for Allah to speak to anyone and, you know, except by inspiration or from behind a veil or hijab. Let us click at the verse and read it together. Again, this is a chapter 42, verse number 51. So it was not allowed for a human to speak that Allah will speak to him except by inspiration, or Allah he speak from behind the veil to him. I found a video of Zakir Naik, and Zakir Naik is answering a question which is exactly what we are talking about, why Allah don't show himself. Now Zuzu is the best to answer those questions, so if we go there, let us see. This is Mr. Zuzu Zakura.
Brother asked the question that one of his non-Muslim friends, she asked him the question that why doesn't Allah, the God in Islam, show himself? Like in other religions, they can see God. Why don't you? Why can't we see the God of Allah in Islam? The reason is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Islam is the true Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If He shows Himself, you will not be able to live. He's so powerful. And the example we have in the Quran in Surah Taha, then Musa alayhi salam says, "Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I want to see you." So Allah says, "I will show my glimpse to the mountain. You look what happens to the mountain." So when Musa alayhi salam turns his head to the mountain, Allah shows his glimpse to the mountain and Musa alayhi salam faints.
You know, here we see that Muhammad is copying verses from the Bible. If you go to Exodus chapter 33 and you read it from verse 17, 18, etc., you will find that this is exactly what Moses says to God. Muhammad taking the story, but there is no glimpse and mountains, etc. So God, he said to Moses, no one can see my face, not see me, my face, and live. It's not allowed. It's not allowed. Actually, let me go to the verse. And let us zoom in a little bit. Here you will see when God he appeared to Moses and he spoke to him, Moses says to him, "Show me your glory, I pray." And he said, "I will make all my godness pass before you, and I will proclaim before you the name, the Lord, and I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will show mercy on whom I will show mercy." But he said, "You cannot see my face, for no one shall see my face, shall see me and live." So, you know, Moses is asking to see the face of God, and God says to him, "No one shall see me, for if you see my face, you cannot live." Now, we can say, like, you know, he's very glorious, etc. You know, you are nothing. You are like an insect. You will be demolished. You will be destroyed. But remember here, as long as we believe that God is almighty, then God still can show himself. How? You know, let us say you cannot, your nature as a human cannot handle more than a certain degree of fire or heat. If the heat increase more than certain degree, you would die, you know. Like if your body reach 41, 42, 43, you know, you say bye-bye. So, but can God show himself? Absolutely he can. Moses is asking to see God as he is. But remember, because God is almighty, still he can show himself, but not, let us say, with his powerful glory. He can humble, or he can show some of, to prove to Moses who he is. If we go in the Quran, we will find that Muhammad, because he's a thief, he took a story from the Bible. We know that when Moses he came, he saw a fire in a bush. But the bush is not really burning, but there's a fire there, which is strange. So if we go in the Quran, we will find the following. Let us go to the verses about Moses. In chapter 28, verse number 30. Chapter 28, Al-Qasas, verse number 30, it says that when Moses reached, he was going with his family. And when he was with his family, night came, and he saw fire somewhere, like from the other side of the valley. So he said to his family, you know what, I'm going to go and get this fire, grab little of it, so we can light fire, and we cook, maybe we eat whatever we eat. So Moses walked in that direction, and when he got close to the fire, as you see here, it says, when he reached the fire, he was called from the right side of the valley, in the blessed place from the tree. O Moses, verily I am Allah, the Lord of the world. Muslim, they believe that there is two al-alamin here, not the word only. There is two words. There is a word of genie and a word of a human, which is very funny because he forgot the angels. He skipped it. So anyway, so he said, I am the Lord of the two words, the genie and mankind. And then here you see something very weird in the story. What does this have to do with the verse before it? And throw your stick, but when he saw it moving, as if it were a snake, he turned in a flight and looked not back. And then Moses, he drew near, and he said to him, Moses, draw near and fear not. Verily you are of those who are secure. So here there's a trick. Allah showing him like some tricks, what he can do. And then, I mean, the verse is really is very weird. I mean, what does have to do with this verse? Going to the Pharaoh, what have to do with the fire in the bush? There's, I mean, they are not connected. But look what happened. If we go to different verse in the Quran, we will find the following. In chapter 20, this is why the Quran is a very silly book. You cannot even find one story in one place. So when Moses, the same story repeated, but here there's no the mix of the Pharaoh and all the crazy stuff. So here it says, has the stories of Moses reached to you? And here you ask yourself, Allah speaking to who? If he's speaking to Muhammad, well, how Muhammad he knew the story of Moses? If the Quran says he do not know the book, he never have faith before. Was Muhammad a Jew? Secondly, the Muslims, they say, well, the Old Testament is corrupt and the New Testament. So how and where and from who Muhammad will learn the story of Moses? That means the book must be true, and the Jewish not teaching false regarding Moses. So when he saw the fire, he said to his family, hold on, I'm going to provide a fire. I will bring some, And then when he came to the fire, a voice called out, Moses, which means Moshe, verily I am your Lord. Take off your shoes. You are actually in holy ground, sacred valley. And here the Muslim, by the way, because they don't know what this word means, they say tawa. Now, if we try to find out what tawa mean, you will find the Muslims are getting dizzy as usual, and the end of the explanation is Allah knows best. Because Muhammad is a thief and he is stealing words from other languages, they do not know what it means. But what we need notice here, that Moses is not allowed not to walk in this area, and he have to take off his shoes because it's a holy ground. If we ask the Muslims, and I don't know if we have how many we have of them in the chat, why Moses have to take off his shoes? Was Allah there? The Muslims, they have no idea what to say, because how the ground become holy and why it's holy, they don't know. Then they continue, and then he says, I myself, and again this is the Muslim translation, choosing you Therefore, give ear to what I is revealed. Verily, I am Allah. Okay. Now the story here, we will stop here. The story here, we will stop. Until now, as you see, Moses came to the fire. When he arrived close to the area where the fire is, Moses was cold. And the one is talking. He said to him, take off your shoes. You've been chosen. And then now he said to him, I am Allah. Let us go to different verse so we can see how the story, developed. Islam is made by an idiot. We will find that the story is different in different verse. Let us go here. In chapter 28, we are going back to the previous chapter. In verse number 30, it says, so when he reached the fire, he was called from the right side of the valley, in the blessed place, from the tree, where Allah is speaking. He is speaking from the tree. If we ask Muslims, was Allah is inside the tree? The Muslim, they will refrain from answering. If we ask the scholars will fight with each other and they will say Allah knows best. If we ask the Quran says from the tree. Does it say, guys, from the tree? Does it say in the verse in front of us, from the tree? It says that, right? So why the Muslims are not willing to give the answer when the answer is in front of us? Why do they say, yes, it's coming from the tree? Because that will make it a problematic, like there's a problem here for this religion. The Muslim, they keep saying Allah cannot go inside his creation, and the tree is a creation of Allah. So how Allah is in the tree? That is a problem. And here we notice that the Muslims, in one hand they say Allah is almighty, in the other hand they say Allah cannot be inside a tree. Now how he is almighty, but yet a tree is a problem for him? Secondly, how he's Allah almighty, who cannot be inside a tree? He is saying, and this is his words, from the tree. You see, not from behind the tree, not from the top of the tree, not from underneath of the tree, from the tree. So the voice of Allah is coming from where? Is coming from the tree. So where is Allah? If you are a Muslim, I will be happy to see your answer so we can find out the solution for this problem. But look what happened now. We heard Zakir Naik saying that Allah cannot show himself. Right? Okay, wonderful. Allah speaking from the tree. No problem. Allah is inside the tree. All right. Who is the one inside the tree? The Muslim do not know. So is it a voice only coming from the tree? Or it is God of Islam inside the tree? Or it was an illusion? We will find the answer in different verse. Let's see. In chapter 27, you cannot find one story in one place. It's all over the place. It's like somebody, he had papers in the table, and somebody, he turned the fan on, and then all the papers, they went in the street, and then they tried to make a book, and they put the papers together. So page number 1 became page number 300. So when he reached, I mean, look at this. I mean, why the verses, or why the chapters, why, I mean, what this is. So look at this. So when he arrived to the tree, right? He saw the fire, no problem. And look what happened now. The story is different. So when he reached to it, he reached to what? To the fire. Here it does not mention the tree at all. It mentions a fire. But when he reached to it, he was called, saying, blessed is who is ever is in the fire, and who is ever is round about it. Okay, so now we confirm that there is somebody inside the fire. I challenge any Muslim to tell me who is inside the fire. So if it is not Allah who is inside the fire, who is inside the fire? And if it's Allah, Allah saying it's blessed is the one in the fire? Muhammad as a thief, he copies story from the Old Testament and he start adding spices to it. And the more spices he add, the more silly he got. So now we have someone is inside the fire and that person is blessed. Who is he? Do we have any Muslim can tell us? Verse number 9, it says, Musa's Lu, it is Allah, the might and the wise, the mighty and the wise. This I'm reading the Muslim translation. So putting all those verses together, a voice came from the tree, the voice saying, I am Allah. Is that correct? A voice came from where? From the tree. From the tree. Chapter 28, verse number 30. So the voice coming from the tree, and the voice saying, I am Allah. So where is Allah? In the tree. Then we go to chapter 27. It says, blessed who is in the fire. Okay, but where is the fire? The fire is in a tree. The fire is in the tree. Are we guys following? The fire is in the tree. The voice came from the fire. The voice come from the tree, and all the verses as we see confirm what we are saying. Now, if Allah was not inside the tree, and he is saying, I am Allah, yet the voice is coming from the tree, and then this God Allah, he says, blessed is the one is in the fire. You will notice that chapter 28 verse number 30 says that this is a holy ground. This is, he was called from a holy ground, from the tree. So it is a holy ground, it is from the tree, the fire in the tree, and the one who is inside the fire is blessed, as we see in chapter 27 verse number 8. So who was in the tree? Isn't it obvious this is Allah? Now here we need to ask ourselves a very serious question. The Muslim, they say Allah, he cannot speak to you unless he is wearing a veil. Was he wearing a veil when he appeared to Moses as a fire? Was Allah the fire? Again, where is the voice coming from? Where is the voice coming from? The voice is coming from the tree. From where to? From the fire. How we know that he is inside the fire? Well, the verse says, blessed is the one who is inside the fire. Who was inside the fire? And here I find it strange that Allah, he says to himself, blessed. But you know, the Quran, all of it is like this. Blessed be Allah. Allah saying, blessed be Allah. So now we notice that when the Muslims, they say that they are trying to copy a statement from Exodus chapter 33, that nobody can see me and live, that is not really a correct statement. You cannot see my face, God said to Moses in Exodus, for no one shall see me and live. Now, we can say because of his glory, we can say because how powerful he is, but we can say too that God don't want anyone to see him and live. As simple as that. But we knew that Jesus said that he saw the Father. No one knows the Father except me. If God is almighty, and from the might of God, he can appear in any form he wants. And appearing in a form is a way to humble himself so you as a creature can live. And the verse in the Quran proving that Muhammad is a fraud, for in one hand he claimed that God is not changeable, God is a fixed God with his you know, whatever statues he have, and then we find he is copying a story from the New Testament, from the Old Testament, saying clearly that God, he can appear. And actually in Exodus you will see that Moses, he saw God, but he saw him from the back. He did not see his face. If you continue reading, actually, you will see, and while my glory passed by, God, he told the Lord, he told Moses, go stand in this place, and I will pass by. And when I'm passing by, I'm going to protect you by my hand. I will cover you until I have passed by. Then I will take away my hand, and you shall see my back, but my face you shall not see. Let us open the Bible. So it's very possible for God, you know, he's God, he's almighty. Why we call him almighty? That he's able to protect you, and it's not him veiling himself. As you see here, he is protecting Moses. He is not covering himself, he is covering Moses. If we go in the Quran, we will find that Allah, he will not show himself because he cannot, and Allah, he will never speak to anyone except from behind a veil. Which means the stories about Moses does not fit in Islam. For Allah, he cannot. You see, he cannot. He can speak to you from behind the veil, and he is the one is behind the veil, not you. He is the one behind the veil. And here we ask ourselves, you see, in the Bible it says that God, he put his hand. And it's very acceptable to know that the hand of God is God, you know, like he is giving protection. He protecting you by his power. Here, Allah is using a veil, which is his creation. To make it simple for you, we just heard Zakir Naik saying that You cannot see God, and even when God, he saw little a glimpse of himself to the mountain, what happened? The mountain collapsed, destroyed.
To the mountain, you look what happens to the mountain. So when Musa alayhi salam turns his head to the mountain, Allah shows his glimpse to the mountain, and Musa alayhi salam faints.
Okay. Now, taking this into consideration, how we will fix this problem? Because now we have a veil which is no different from a mountain. It's created by Allah, supposedly. Is this veil, is Allah creation? Is it material? Obviously it is. So how the veil can stop anything if a mountain can be destroyed? Are you listening to me, people? Do you understand what my idea? So Allah, he showed his glimpse to the mountain. And then what happened to the mountain? The mountain was destroyed. Mountains is rocks and, you know, solid object. And mountain don't see. The mountain don't see. I mean, mountain is a mountain, right? Don't have eyes, don't have a spirit, don't have a soul. It's not a living creature. But we can say, well, because a mountain is a rocks anyway, and because the glory of this God is so powerful, supposedly, well, this mountain demolished, no problem. But now we have a veil which is enough to stop the glorious of Allah to go through. Anyone getting my idea now, what I'm trying to say? So who is more powerful, Allah or the veil? Any Muslim can help us? How a veil can stop the glory of Allah from going through? If the veil can stop the glory of Allah from going through, that means the veil is more strong than Allah. Any Muslim? You see, a Muslim woman, she wear a veil because she cannot hide herself unless there is a veil. Allah is saying that he cannot hide himself unless he used the veil. So Allah is not almighty, for he need a veil in order to hide. He need a burqa, so you will not be able to see him. So it is not part of his power to hide himself from you. It's not part of his power to not to reveal himself to you. He need to use a veil. And the verse in front of you. Any Muslim? In the top of that, nobody can see Allah. Is that an excuse? So we will not question where is this God, why he don't do anything, why he is mute, why he is silent, why he is deaf, why he is blind, why he don't, what is he? You see, the God of the Christians, he came to us. He came physically as a man. God can humble himself. God can humble himself so we can see him. He's almighty. And as long as we call him almighty, it's mean there is no and nothing can stop him from doing as what he want, as he want. Allah, Muslim, they call him almighty. Yet he cannot hide himself unless he is from behind the veil. And I want to focus with you with the word behind. Do you see the word behind? And this is, by the way, accurate translation. The word behind is exactly what it says in Arabic. من وراء hijab. So where is Allah? Allah is behind the veil. It's not the veil in front of Allah. I don't know if I make it complicated for you. You see, I can say, when I say the word behind, I am behind a wall. I am behind a wall is different from saying I am in front of a wall. Are you getting my point? What is different? Behind the wall, it's mean I am hiding behind the wall. I don't want to get out of this wall. I want this wall to be behind me and you.